decades, interest in murder artists has declined considerably. Whereas in earlier days there was good money to be earned assassinating under one's own management, nowadays that is totally impossible. Those were different times. Back then, the murder artist caught the attention of the entire city. From day to day, calls came in, asking for the next biggest hit. During the later days, there were even viewing hours, and those wealthy enough to experience their hit watched from close by. The artist was good at what she did. On fine days, the murder artist would be able to hear of her work throughout the town, on display while out of sight. While for businessmen, the murder artist was a legend full of fear and notoriety, society saw the artist as some hero ready to rewrite the world. She'd stand at bus stops, listening to men pass word that another job had been done. The artist would smile, and before the bus could arrive, she'd be gone and on her way to another job. As she stood there, over the rails, and aimed her weapon, balconies cleared from anyone else gaining access. She'd let people move on with their schedule, talk and breathe as if nothing was wrong. Then she'd strike, taking out her prey like some cat, simply hunting some overfed birds. Apart from the changing groups of callers, there were also constant difficulties that added to the artist's work. These hits were always monitored. Unknown surveillance given the task of watching the murder artist so that she didn't get to act in some absurd way. And for a while, everything fell into place. Even more so, everyone continued to see the artist as someone committing to their civic duty. There were always those few who tried to reach out to the artist, who said that they would thank the artist for making their life easier. Contact was null, however. The honor of her art forbade it. Naturally, none of the watchers understood that. Nothing was more excruciating to the murder artist than such watchers. They depressed her, and yet she couldn't stop listening. The artist much preferred the observers who moved on, unsatisfied with anything corrupt. They'd caused mischief and ripples within her district, something she always felt ready for. She would smile and wait for her chance, and she'd be there, ready to strike, ready to prove her power over her work. But work was never that difficult. Generally, her work brought a sense of ease, and every day she looked toward increasing the work, increasing the load, so no one could see her and think that her work was so easy. The murder artist herself, listening to the buildup of greasy slimes lying their way to the top, was the only one who could know how easy her work was, and, at the same time, was the only spectator capable of being completely satisfied with her own killing. But the reason she was never satisfied was something different. Perhaps it was not killing at all which made her so gruesome that so many had to wonder of her work, for she was also so surprised out of dissatisfaction with herself, because she alone knew what the initiates didn't know, how easy it was to hide. It was the easiest thing in the world. About this, she did not remain silent, but people did not believe the stories being slipped around. Most of them, however, believed she was a publicity seeker or a total anarchist for whom, at all events, being so sly was easy, because she understood how to make it easy, and then, still, had half the nerve to admit it. And this one had to say to her own credit, had she quit her work and left of her own free will. She had always kept herself hidden, so no one could officially know, on the basis of her own observation, whether this career of hers was based upon pure heroism or murder. The murder artist herself was the only one who could know that, and, at the same time, the only living spectator capable of being completely satisfied by her murders. She did everything she could to hide herself, but she couldn't hide her dissatisfaction. On specific days meant in her honor, flyers adorning the walls and streets, an enthusiastic audience would be waiting to honor the artist for all that she had done, for all of those whom she had saved. Of course, she freely allowed herself to take in the glory, silently of course, but she did not want to stand up. Why stop now? Why tell everyone who she really was? She could go on for days more, for an unlimited amount of time. Her life would end, for surely those who she had harmed would seek revenge and try to take away her life, murder a murderer. But what really mattered, she asked herself. What was she really doing? The artist flung herself to her original haunts, heard the usual crowd speaking of new things, new acts of artistry. What am I? Who am I? And the artist needed to know these answers. She looked at herself in mirrors and phones, all hidden away from the public, asking, is this really good for the public? What have I become? Many days went by, and the artist allowed herself to fall, not only in stature, but in mind. Her crowds cried for her to return, but the artist knew that it was not right. The new corruption of society had come from her, and no one could ever feel safe with such an angry population. For the murder artist, all that had been done could never be undone. The people ruled the cities now. They took her work as a model and looked toward nothing else but sacrifice as law. When are you going to finally stop this? The artist asked herself. I had to do this. I couldn't do anything else. She looked at herself, trembling. I couldn't let my people suffer. She herself, however, now suffered greatly by all of the things that she had done. Visions of those she had killed returned to her, almost as though seeking vengeance for her actions. Even for a person with the dullest mind, it was clearly refreshing to see the world anew, a place which had clearly been dreary for such a long time. It lacked nothing, and soon the cities returned. Everyone returned. Except the artist, who had merely been another art left to die under and before her viewers' hands. The world, like her victims, would never know what a gift she was to society, now lost forever with time's unending cycle.